What is good, guys? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla stock and also break down why the deliveries report is going to be very important for Tesla. I'm going to go over some very important registrations data for China and Europe and break down how the numbers are looking thus far, at least for the quarter and beyond. But before I begin the devil's information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a few things. I am personally not a financial planner, so make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And then don't forget about the Webull link. The offer ends very soon. Deposit $500 and you guarantee 20 free stocks. There's only 1 day left. The offer ends tomorrow, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, for Tesla, I just wanted to mention we have a very, very nice looking inverse head and shoulders like structure, and the share price is looking bullish overall. However, if you guys look at this structure, whether it's a symmetrical move or not, Tesla went all the way up to this 200 area. And notice that the last time we approached 200, we had this move where we kind of like dipped. We saw a dip all the way back down to 175 before we ended up coming back up to 200. Well, is it possible we do the opposite? Do we get a little dip back down to the low levels to kind of resemble this before we continue to push much higher? Or are we about to just blast off and start pushing all the way up to the 220s, 230s, 240s? Honestly, guys, I don't know what the answer is because it depends on Tesla's deliveries numbers. That's going to have a big effect on whether or not this is completely symmetrical or not. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'm asking, are we going to see this thing kind of reject a bit here before it tries to push up higher? Just like how it was at 200 here, we were down here before this ended up happening. So it's like the opposite that could be happening. Or is Tesla about to rocket? Well, let's actually look at some data. It may give us a better idea of how this is looking. So Troy Teslak has tweeted, I want to give them all credit where it's due, that Tesla is expected to release the Q2 2024 production deliveries numbers on Tuesday, July 2nd, between 8:30 a.m. and 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. They released it on the second day of the month for the last few years, very, very consistently. And pre market hours are more likely when the markets are open. So that's actually very, very important. I don't know exactly what the timing will be. There have been some instances where Tesla was a little bit late, but for the most part, it is typically, or it is basically on the second day of the month, for the month that kind of like follows the end of a quarter. So in this case, July 2nd should be the time that Tesla ends up announcing its deliveries numbers and should be coming in within the range that has been listed above. Now, this is going to be very important for Tesla because it's going to help instill more confidence amongst investors. And we have some very, very high expectations from Wall Street. Wall Street are expecting, according to reports, around 450,000 deliveries. Some sites are saying 444,000, but it's very close to that 450,000 range. If Tesla does significantly below 450,000, this could cause a rug pull. Might not be the best for Tesla. If they surpass that, it's going to be very, very bullish. So the question is, how are the numbers looking? I'm going to go over that now. So one thing worth noting is that Troy Teslak is going to be talking about their final estimations, at least for Tesla, on how things are looking. They basically think that it's going to be clearly above 386,000 units, but basically most likely less than 466,000. So they're going to give us the estimates tomorrow. I'll go over that. But we do have some estimates I just want to talk about. First thing that's worth noting is that Europe is a very, very challenging region for Tesla, at least compared to the last quarter. A lot of that has to do with economic slowdowns, not to mention the fact that many, European countries are in recessionary environments. We're starting to see the high interest rates really affecting them, at least from the European unions. We've seen a very, very big decline in Germany, especially when you look at the last couple of months. That is because of some big changes that are happening right here. So this is very important. You can see the slowdowns that could be happening in Germany right now, especially if you look at like April plus May of 2024. So this will have a big effect on their European sales. And then when we look at their European sales, I want to give credit, by the way, to Roland Perch, who tweeted this. You guys can see right here, so far, we have some numbers that came out. Tesla achieved 119,000 sales in Europe after the first 5 months of the year. This is actually 13% lower than last year for the same period. And that's not a very, very good looking number so far. When we look through this, let me just double check this. You guys could also see if you look at European sales per month, if you look at 2024, which is in the purple, this was stronger. January was strong, February, March. The first quarter was actually a little bit stronger for Europe. But if you look at April and May, the numbers have been a little bit lackluster. I'm really hoping we get a very strong June to offset this. So we need a very, very strong June in Europe. June is still going on. That's why we don't have the data yet. We're still waiting for June. We don't have the data because we still have 2 days left for June, today and tomorrow. So we're still waiting for that. But I just want to say we need a very, very strong June in Europe to get those sales up. And if you look at the total sales, right, per year by on a month-over-month basis. Right now, the European sales are below those of 2023 by quite some margins. You have to be very, very careful. June is usually when sales start to spike up. So let's hope we get a strong June to catch up to what we saw last year. That's going to be very, very important. But it's not just Europe we're focused on, it's also the Chinese numbers. If you look at this so far, I want to show you guys some very important data. Basically, in China, we have 17,500 insurance registrations during the week of June 17th to the 23rd. That's the latest data we got from China. We're still waiting for the final week. It's still going on. The quarter is up 13.1% because Q1 was very weak, especially in China. However, it's also down about 15.6% versus the quarter before that. So Q4 of 2023. And also we're down about 4.6% year over year, the highest week of the year. So that's something that's worth noting. We are getting some nice sales, at least during like the second to last week of the year. So the sales did go up a little bit for Tesla. We're hoping to get a very strong final week to push those numbers up. We have to close out the quarter very strongly. This is the total sales in China by year. You guys can see it right over here throughout all of these different quarters. So this is all the different quarters that are compared to. We're currently in 2024 Q2. This is still going on where the purple line is. See how the purple line hasn't reached week 13 yet. That's where we're currently at. And you could see the sales in China are looking for the quarter better than what we saw last quarter. So that's a very good sign, but they're looking quite weaker than 2023 Q3 and also Q2. We could offset that if we get a big push at the very end of the week. That could actually help things a lot for Tesla. So it's not the end yet, but that's how things are looking. We started to show a lot of improvement right here. So basically, Q1 right over here, a little bit weak, a little bit lackluster. We got one little push, especially during the 13th week, excuse me. But then if you look right now, if you look at the red line right here, you guys can see that it's showing more strength, at least for this quarter. So I'm seeing a little bit of more momentum that was building. So it's looking like we're seeing somewhat of an improvement, but we need to see a very, very strong week. I think it's 26 that we're waiting for. So that's going to be very important. And then if you look at the total insurance data over time for Tesla, 2024 is still just a little bit behind 2023. So once again, I'm not going to promise anything yet. It is still possible we surpass last year, but we have to see a big push for the final week. That's going to be extremely important for Tesla. When you look at their deliveries numbers, okay? If we look at like 2022, for example, in Q2 we did 254,000, but it was a little bit weak because of some issues during the pandemic. Q1 was a little bit stronger, so Q2 was a little bit weak that year. If we go to 2023, in Q2 we did 466,000, and in Q1 we did 422,000. So this quarter, let me just note that for Q1 of 2023 was 422,000. For Q1 of 2024, we did only 386,000. So there's actually a bit of a dip. And according to data, it seems very probable that considering the fact that in Europe, the sales are actually lower than what we got for the first about 12, 13 weeks of this quarter. And then the same thing in China, that there's a very, very good chance that we're going to have below 466,000, unfortunately. So I'm anticipating it's going to be below that, just looking at the facts that so far the data is looking a little bit lackluster, at least in China and also in Europe. Like look at the European sales; we're actually off by quite some margin, and we need a big push in June to catch up. So Tesla, Troy like is saying the same thing, or Troy Tesla, excuse me. They're saying the same thing that Tesla will most likely get below 466,000. Not the end of the world. We're expecting like 450,000, 444,000. If Tesla does like 450,000 or something like that, they're going to be fine. That's going to be a nice improvement. So we'll have to wait and see. There's going to be a lot of talk about how it's an improvement compared to last quarter, but year over year, the numbers are going to be very important too. So we will see how it goes. But just note that so far, from what I'm looking at, the data suggests we're going to have under 466,000 deliveries, which is a little bit weaker than what we got during Q2 of 2023. I could be wrong if we get a very, very strong push for the final week. The quarter is obviously not over yet. So we'll see. But the numbers should be much better than what we got last quarter. So that's going to be an improvement. So we will see how the share price kind of reacts to this. So that's also going to be very important. Now, there's been a lot of talk about how the numbers are going to be kind of weak for Tesla. I'm seeing a lot of headlines saying that. What I like to say is don't worry about what the media says, because what's going to matter is when the numbers come out. That's going to be the most important thing. The reason I say that is because You have to remember that a lot of these news outlets will say things that are very biased. They don't always tell the truth, and they try their best to just get as many clicks and views as possible. So there's going to be a lot of misinformation coming out about Tesla. I want to give you guys that warning during a time like this. Just don't worry about anything. Don't worry. Just wait for the numbers to come out. I will show you guys what data suggests, and that's pretty much it. But I'm not going to make any promises. I'm not going to scream at you Tesla's lackluster or anything. I would rather just wait for the data. So we will see how things look for Tesla, and we will see what the reaction ends up being. Once again, guys, the numbers for Tesla are not looking that strong to me. They're not looking like we're gonna absolutely blow everything out of the park compared to last year. At least not yet. Maybe later on during the year, Tesla could get better numbers, but for now, I don't expect Tesla to really blow things out of the park and give us like 480,000 or anything like that. A new all-time high in deliveries. But I still think it's going to be much better than what we got during Q1. And that could be looked at as a very positive thing. So we will see how Tesla ends up reacting to this. So, with that being said, whatever the numbers look like will have a big effect on the share price. As you could tell, Tesla looks very, very bullish, and this share price is going to run even more. The question is, will we get an initial dip after deliveries before we see another monster run to the 200s, 220, 240? Or are we just going to run straight up to 220, 240 from here if we get good deliveries? I don't know, guys, but either way, regardless of which way we go for the short term, the more medium and longer term still looks very bullish for the stock. I think things are going to be just fine for Tesla, so I'm not really too worried. With that being said, Tesla is not really run like a lot of the AI stocks out there. We haven't really gotten that, Nvidia run. We haven't really gotten that this year, right? It's been on a decline, if anything. So I think that Tesla's time is coming soon, especially as we get closer to the robotaxi event, which is less than a month and a half from now. So I'm excited for the long term for Tesla. I can't wait to see what they end up announcing for deliveries. And I think that this is going to have a big effect on the share price. I also can't wait to see what Tesla ends up telling us about their new projections, and also what they end up telling us about their future moving forward. So, deliveries data, just as a reminder, I'm going to give you guys more data about this tomorrow. I'm also going to give you guys some price predictions for the markets. I'll be talking about SPY, the QQQ, and the others. But for right now, I want to make it very clear that we're still waiting for the June data to come out. So by tomorrow, we should get better numbers, and then I'll be breaking down more information about, excuse me, about how things are looking. We still need more time to really talk about their numbers, and then until then, I will see you guys basically for tomorrow. So with that being said, guys, I will see you guys very, very soon. Know that Tesla is in very, very good hands. It looks very bullish from a technical standpoint for the medium to long term. But short term, it's going to depend on deliveries. Whether we get a big pump from here again, or if Tesla gets a little rug pull just temporarily, we will wait and see. But regardless of what happens, I'm bullish on Tesla. I think that there's a big move coming, and I can't wait to see how deliveries end up looking. So we will see if Tesla could break that 450,000 mark. If we break that, that's going to be a very good sign for Tesla. I'd be very happy, and I'm just going to wait and see how things end up going. But the best thing to do is just be very patient, give the market the time it needs, and I will most definitely see you guys on the next one. Thank you for listening, guys. I'll see you guys very soon, and peace out.